Okay, we're going to get started on our fourth lecture for Chapter 19, and we will look at an example of a combustion. And this just happens to be the combustion of propane. Going through the material, we'll write this up. And again, at any given time, of course, you can go ahead and pause to write stuff down. So combustion of any hydrocarbon is always going to give you carbon dioxide and water. In this case, we're mentioning that it is gaseous carbon dioxide and liquid water because that's what it would be at room temperature once the reaction has come to completion. And we do have an enthalpy value, a delta H, is negative 2200, and I'm running out of room here. That's going to be kilojoules per mole, negative 2200 kilojoules per mole for this reaction. All right. Now, the question or the statement is for us, predict. This is going to sound weird. We'll get there. Predict whether delta G is more or less negative. And this is going to be a weird term. It's a shame we're not together because it's kind of fun to talk about how this sounds weird. More or less negative. More negative, less negative than delta H. Well, we have delta H. Delta H is negative 2200. So we want to know whether delta G is going to be more negative or less negative than delta H. And in order to think about that, we need to consider what's going on with delta S. And if we incorporate the equation we've been looking at in the previous lecture, here it is. So we want to figure out what contribution does delta S have? And again, this is a really good AP question because it's not a math problem. You just got to kind of think about it. So what is happening to the entropy in this particular reaction? You've got 1 mole of propane, and you've got 5 moles of oxygen, and they're both gaseous. So I guess I got 6 moles of gases. And after the reaction goes through, I have 3 moles of gas, carbon dioxide, and 4 moles of liquid, water. So what do you think? Is it becoming more organized or less organized? Is entropy decreasing or increasing? All right, well, let's kind of sum this up and we'll write this down. The reaction is moving, from 6 moles of gas to 3 moles of gas and 4 moles liquid. So I would say this reaction is becoming more ordered. And it's like, well, why do we say that? If you go back to the front of the packet, see if I got this handy somewhere. I do. If we go back to the very front of the packet and take a look at this information, this will help you better understand as far as what we're talking about. Again, liquids are more organized, gases are more disorganized, and typically the number of moles. But in this case, yeah, we are moving from 6 to 7, but what are these moles? They're really close, of course, 6 and 7. But we had 6 moles of gas, now we only have 3. Gases are much more disorganized. So it's becoming more ordered. We have less disordered gases. And of course, we're also gaining liquid, which is much more ordered. So that would tell us that the reaction is becoming more ordered. More ordered. So as far as a sign for delta S, positive or negative, what do you think? It is negative. which indicates it is becoming more ordered. And I know that's maybe something weird because you think more ordered should be positive. More disorder, more randomness is a positive value. If it's becoming more ordered, that's not random, so it's a negative value. So when you incorporate that negative value into this equation, it becomes positive. And therefore, what effect does that have on delta G? Right? We'll write that out here. Therefore, negative T delta S, as we just said, is positive, and delta G, as a result, is less negative than delta H. So again, that's a really good like AP style question. Makes you have to kind of think and compare that. But of course, if you have this equation, you can use that to reason your way through there. Okay, so let's do another. Pull this down a little. Next question. We're going to look at the Haber-Bosch process. So before I write it down, can you think of writing that down, what that would be for the Haber-Bosch process? If you wrote down nitrogen gas plus 3 hydrogen gases, giving you an equilibrium of 2 ammonias, you would be correct. Let's look at a problem, a question. Predict the change in delta G with a temperature increase. So we want to know what happens to delta G when we have this temperature go up. And again, sitting here is like, I have no idea. Well, let's look at our variables we have available to us and see if we can figure it out. Delta S. So what's going on with delta S? Delta S would become, or does become, negative. And why does that become negative? Well, 1 plus 3 is 4, and we're going to 2. So it's becoming more ordered, so less negative. So that value is negative. And therefore, negative T delta S is going to be positive, and delta G less negative. Okay, so we kind of understand that one, I hope, I think. Let's look at part B. This one's going to take a while, so I may not get all the way through in this lecture. Calculate delta G at 2 different temperatures, 25 Celsius and 500 degrees Celsius. Well, you would have the back of the book available to you, and you would have to dig up some of these numbers to make these calculations. So I'm leaving a little bit of room in here to write that down. Some information we can pull out of the back of the book. NH3. I look back there, and I find its delta H value is equal to negative 46. And again, I'm just pulling these out of the back of the book. Kilojoules per mole. I find the delta S value is equal to 192. Sounds bigger, except it's joules per mole. Push the light out here a little bit. and I look up nitrogen. Nitrogen's value, I look that up, delta H value is equal to, I can read my writing here. Oh, yeah. Like, that doesn't make sense, but it does. 0 kilojoules per mole. I'll talk about that in a second. Its delta S value is equal to 192 joules per mole. And why is nitrogen's delta H value 0? Because it does not require any energy to make nitrogen from its elemental gases, which happens to be nitrogen. And the next one on our list, which we can probably make a quick assumption about, would be hydrogen. Its delta H value will also be 0 kilojoules per mole. And its delta S value is going to be 131 joules per mole. Okay, so we got to run through some math here. And you've done all this before. It's really, really tedious. And just for your enjoyment, I will run through it with you. And again, we're doing the whole products minus reactants thing. I'm looking at the equation, which again is up here. Just kind of got it pushed up so we can see it. There we go. Delta H is going to be 2 times a negative 46 kilojoules minus 0 plus 0. And if I'm not mistaken, that should be negative 92 kilojoules. And it's per mole for all these guys. Delta S for this, same process. I got the numbers off to the side there. 192 joules per Kelvin minus 1. Now I actually do have some numbers I have to deal with here. Also happens to be 192. Coincidence. Plus 3 times 131. And again, these are all joules. Equals 198 joules per Kelvin. Okay? And if I take a look at delta G, so incorporating this information, I find if I have the whole delta H value, negative 92 kilojoules minus, and this is at the 25 degrees Celsius, so that's 298 times a negative 0.198. And again, this is the delta S value. Very important. I had to make sure the units are the same, so I slid the decimal over 3 spots, and it is kilojoules. Kilojoules per Kelvin, excuse me, equals a negative 33 kilojoules. And the kelvins are gone because of the temperature reading over here. And because it is minus, this reaction is spontaneous. That's the only thing we're looking at here. Is the reaction spontaneous at 25 degrees Celsius? And because it is negative, yep. And again, I'm just going to make a little mark in here at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, I'm running out of time for this lecture, so we'll end it right here and we'll pick it up on the next one.